and welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the Jobs Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, like I just said, it's a jobs podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. And before, for months, I couldn't afford to pay the Squarespace. I have other podcasts where I can talk about this. I'll talk about this on Constitutionals on Friday. But the short of it is, I couldn't afford Squarespace anymore. My personal website, chadcwhite.com, which I point to you. Please go to it. That's where everything I've ever done lives. Oh, good Lord. And Adobe, it's run by that portfolio site is run by Adobe or something like that. I don't know. It's on Adobe Portfolio. Long story short, I made a new cpluscomedy.com. It currently exists. It runs. Thank Christ. So you can go to it right now. It's very rudimentary, but it has mostly everything that I've done for C+ Comedy. Everything else is on Squarespace, so I have to figure out, with the exception, everything I've ever written is on a hard drive somewhere, so I have to figure that out. But right now, the website exists again. Okay, let's get on with this, because I'm going to go see a movie. What's it called? One Battle After Another? Oh, I'm excited. Leonardo DiCaprio, who is it? Regina Hall, Chase Infinity, Benicio del Toro. This is, quite frankly, it's probably Paul Thomas Anderson's most diverse movie. And when I say probably, I mean definitely, because he's a white director that does not hire people of color. Anyway, let's get on with the news. This comes from Axios. It's written by Jim Vandehei. I'm going to pop open the window right now. I just realized that this is the show that I do that with. Here we go. Job crisis in plain sight. All right. Over there at Axios, you can come check it out. It's an interesting piece concerning the owners of Amodii, I guess, as they build AI technology, and how CEOs are on a freeze right now with hiring for their companies, because of AI. Amodi, in 2 interviews with Jim, told them that AI could wipe out half of the U.S. entry-level white-collar jobs and send unemployment soaring. And then they even quote Ford CEO Jim Farley, who said something recently this summer that is very impactful. Artificial intelligence is going to replace literally half of all white-collar workers in the U.S., Farley told author Walter Isaacson at the Aspen Ideas Festival. AI will leave a lot of white-collar people behind. This gets into what I think I've mentioned this last week or the week before, but the college degree is no longer what it used to be. It's no longer that key to get people the jobs that they want. Usually, like, you could 60s, 70s, 80s, even the 90s. You go to college, you get the job right out of college, and then you live in that job for the rest of your life. But that's no longer the case, especially as technology grows and people want to expand their horizons. We always hear that people in my generation X. Yes. People in Generation X are always hopping from job to job. Well, that's not a possibility anymore. So it's fascinating to see how now we're kind of reverting back to the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s idea of you have to stay in one job because there's not, and it's not because that job is good. It's because there's nothing else for you. So what happens when that key that was supposed to be the original bachelor's degree. That bachelor's degree, that key that was supposed to open up the door for jobs everywhere, at least even entry-level jobs. You see me just scratch my cheeks. I just hate that little boy. So what happens when that key can no longer open that door? Amazon CEO Andy Jassy said in June that Amazon will reduce headcount, quote, as we get efficiency gains from using AI. And then the Wall Street Journal reported that Walmart execs said they too expect to freeze hiring and change how every single job is done. CEO Doug McMillon of Walmart said, it's very clear that AI is going to be change literally every job. Maybe there's a job in the world AI won't change, but I haven't thought of it. We have to, as a society, we have to come together and safeguard the things that we hold dear, like the ability for people to make money. And I feel like, and not to make this political, but I feel like there are people who voted for somebody who does not have their best interests in mind. In fact, he doesn't have any poor person's best interest in mind. It's all rich people, and rich people who want to get on their knees and prop open their mouths. Now, there have to be some sort of safeguards in order for this. In the same way that it feels like, and this is an analogy I just thought of, so please give me some grace. It feels like, the bachelor degree was the key to open the door. But AI and these companies making AI and these companies accepting AI models as for jobs is the doorstop, keeping that door closed. And we can say, the AI, artificial intelligence technology has been around for a long time, not increasingly long, but it's been around for a very long time. However, and in various incarnations. However, at this point, it's advancing in such a way that it will become a detriment to people like me, to people who are in worse scenarios than I am, and better scenarios than I am. People like you. And now, speaking of that, this comes from Variety, written by Leo Barraclaw. This has been a big story for the past couple of days. And it is very easy for people who aren't in the entertainment industry to pass this off as media jargon, PR speak, blah, blah, blah. It is very easy for someone to say, this does not concern me. I work in a different sector. I work in a different industry, and it doesn't matter. But this is very important for everybody. AI actress Tilly Norwood debuts at Zurich Summit as industry grapples with emerging tech. The company that made her wants her to be the next Scarlett Johansson. There's a problem with that. Mostly because Scarlett Johansson, I may not like her as a person. I may not like her as an actress. But by God, I was thinking about this on the bike. You better believe that I will support her. I will support Chris Evans. I will support anybody that I do not like who has earned their money and deserved their money, because it is so important that these people, that you are not overtaken by, your job is not overtaken by an AI tool. Now, this company later on, which I'll reference, will say, hey, we're not looking to overtake everybody's jobs. But that's where this is pointing. AI actress Tilly Norwood has attracted the attention of multiple talent agents, actor, comedian, and producer Eileen van der Velden told a panel at the Zurich Summit, the industry strand of the Zurich Film Festival. She is I'm gonna scroll up. Here's the article. There she is. That's Tilly. Great. Okay. I mean, not great, but she's the first creation to emerge from recently launched AI talent studio Zicoia, spelled with an X, a spinoff from van der Velden's AI production studio Particle 6. She says that studios. She says studios were quietly moving forward with AI projects, and that further announcements would come in the next few months. I don't disagree with that, but I do believe that there will be some sort of retribution for which we'll get into in a second. Vander Velden says we were in a lot of boardrooms around February time, and everyone was like, "No, this is nothing. It's not going to happen." Then by May, people were like, "We need to do something with you guys." She was being interviewed by Diana Lauterhaus of Deadline. All right, this is obviously bad. We don't want to have an actress be created. I gotta have to mute this because I don't want to get a tag. But they have a trailer with the engineers, I guess. Who it's a comedy. It's a trailer, but they put in their own words comedy sketch. With the people who helped create her, I guess, and they're people who make movies. But that's Tilly right there. If you're watching the video, on the set of the Graham Norton show, it looks like. Oh no, I don't like that at all. And they're making her cry, and I'm sure they're saying something about her being that's her again. Wow, that is insane. Okay. Particle 6 is produced across multiple genres, including Miss Holland for BBC Three and True Crime Secrets for Hearst Networks and Look See Wow for Spy Kids. This is something I am wholly against, as is Emily Blunt. This comes from Clayton Davis at Variety. Emily Blunt calls AI actress Tilly Norwood really scary and warns Hollywood agencies, don't do that. This is again this AI tool, this idea has been making the round. You know, who's gonna be the first company to make a real AI tool? Hey, my name is Jackson. I really love Theo Vaughn. I love Joe Rogan. I love watching Pat McAfee. That's where I get all my news. Emily Blunt says, does it disappoint me? I don't know how to quite answer it, other than it to say how terrifying this is. When shown an image of Norwood, she exclaimed, "No, are you serious? That's an AI. Good Lord, we're screwed. This is really, really scary. Come on, agencies, don't do that. Please stop. Please stop taking away our human connection." Now, it's interesting. Later on here, this comes from The Hollywood Reporter. Creator of AI actress Tilly Norwood responds to backlash. She is not a replacement for a human being. But as we can clearly see, this young woman that they've made, that they've put into these dramatic scenes, yes, she looks intensely real, but there's no way, there's just no life behind those eyes. There's no way that this quote unquote actress is going to portray the same type of emotions that an Emily Blunt can do, a Scarlett Johansson can do, Emma Stone can do. I just watched Kinds of Kindness last night because it was leaving Hulu, and on October 1st. So I said, why not watch it? 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 44 minutes. And there's like 5 minutes of credits. But I enjoyed it. I never want to see it again. I enjoyed it. I never want to see it again. So this is the Zekoia is the world's first artificial intelligence studio, as deemed by Vander Velden, Eline Vander Velden. And she tries to reiterate that Tilly is a piece of art. She cannot be a replacement for a human being, but a creative work, a piece of art. Jesus. She does refer to Tilly as an AI character. She continues, like many forms of art before her, she sparks conversation, and that in itself shows the power of creativity. I don't know. I don't think that is true. When you think of a piece of art, they're right behind me. This tiger that I found at a antique store. That's art. The game Gears of War Reloaded, that is art. The movie Kinds of Kindness, that is art. Anything by Taylor Swift or Bad Bunny, that's art. Creating a piece of life, not even life, creating a thing, saying that it's going to work in concert with the things that it is ultimately trying to replace, that's not art. That is not art in any sense of the conversation. She continues, I see AI not as a replacement for people, but as a new tool, a new paintbrush. Just animation, puppetry, or CGI opened fresh just as animation, puppetry, or CGI opened fresh possibilities without taking away from live acting. AI offers another way to imagine and build stories. Again, animation is not being used in place of live action. Yes, there are many instances where I can think back over the course of the pandemic when I believe Blackish and One Day at a Time both had animated episodes because we were in the middle of a pandemic. At the same time, there's Lord of the Rings War for Rorium. That was an animated take on a war that happened pre The Hobbit, I think. I don't know. I just read those books this year, and and the information is in there. I just can't find it. But that is an anime, and it's still set in that same world as Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. Speaking of Lord of the Rings, there's a couple of Lord of the Rings games. There's the Hogwarts Wizard. What is that called? The one Hogwarts School. It's the RPG, the one where you go to school, you go to classes, and then you could also like learn spells. What is that game called? Anyway, those are ways to portray the versions of those worlds. And the Muppets, yes, they're puppets. CGI. Toy Story is CGI, but those are using it. And so it sounds like I'm agreeing with her, but I'm not. Those are telling stories and still using real actors. They're all every single version of those. Every video game, every animated movie or TV show, every episode of Sesame Street, every Muppet incarnation, every Pixar movie, every DreamWorks movie. Those are telling stories in concert using actors and actresses. They're not having you go to, and this is going to be really reductive, but not having you go to Copilot or ChatGPT or Gemini and say, write up a script with these characters, and here's the idea for the movie. And then you take that and then you go to Anthropic or whatever video building platform, and you go, now turn this into a movie. That and there's no sign of life in there. You can't say animation or puppetry or CGI are the same thing as AI. It would be that I think that's reaching, and that is trying to make a point where there is none. Also, for this woman to be like, I'm an actor myself. That can take away, it can't take away the craft or joy of a human performance. Then you should understand. There shouldn't be people advocating for steroid use in the MLB or in football or in hockey. It shouldn't. You should be wanting, if you want that pure thing, that pure connection, then do it the right way. This is a cheat. Think that at the end of most Pixar movies, at the end of the Toy Story movies, or I can't think of any other ones. So at the end of the Toy Story movies or Monsters Inc., when they have bloopers, that's, more often than not, it's the actors messing up lines and they just animate it to that, or they wrote a scene about that. But that it's not, they're not going to Pixar AI and then saying, Sully and Mike finally put on that play, put that thing back where you came from. Let's have Roz pop out of the costume and say, hello. Like that's there's intention behind that. Now, SAG-AFTRA, this comes from a Hollywood Reporter, written by Lily Ford, slammed the AI actress, saying, quote, Tilly Norwood is not an actor. It has no life experience to draw from, no emotion. Again, this is exactly why, this is part in the reason why there was such a long protest. This is why there was work stoppage, because I'm not a part of SAG, but I am a producer, so I'm in this world. So that's why the producers, the actors, the directors, the writers, everything. This is why people were marching. This is why they were protesting, because if you give this, or if you allow this tool to, or similar tools like it, to be used at Disney, at Warner, at Paramount Skydance, at Comcast Universal, NBC Universal, this would ultimately be the end of what we do and what we know and what we love. You can't just say to an AI generation tool, do this, and then expect people to be okay with that, to make your next Avengers movie, to make your next John Wick movie. It doesn't make sense. And it's so frustrating to listen to people, to analysts, to people who oftentimes will, talk about mental health or this or that, and they talk down to the audience. I think it's Scott Galloway, but I think he's a very smart guy. But anyway, and to listen to like the Pivot podcast, and then for them to be like, just quit and make content on YouTube and put it out yourself. Not everybody is going to make money from that. If you expect other people to pay you for that stuff, then the bottom line is, then you're going to fail. The bottom line isn't just to make money. And yes, Scarlett Johansson and Robert Downey Jr. and Mark Ruffalo, they're all in this for part of the reason, for money, and that is a great result of everything. But I guarantee you, everybody from those people to Tom Cruise to ASAP Rocky to Rihanna, happy birthday to the baby, to people, to rappers like Key Glock, to singers like Taylor Swift. A lot of these people are doing it because they love it. And sure, I'm sure out of all of the hundreds of thousands of famous people in the world, there are people doing it just for money. Trust me, I just watched the latest season of Big Brother, and it is very clear those people were there to be famous and to get the results from that. Even if I was attracted to them, like Morgan, it's very clear that she wanted to be famous. But besides those people, the actors, the musicians, the writers, the directors, the people who are working the under the line, which is not to be dismissive, but the people who are in the lighting, the people who are in costuming, they're not doing it to be famous. This is crazy. So if we're talking about creativity, then yes, agree with SAG, agree with Emily Blunt, agree with me, agree with everybody else in this industry that, hey, most people, I say that because we know those all the comedians that took the money from the Riyadh Comedy Festival. I do not agree with that. And to take money from a crown prince who yes, he ordered the kill on Jamal Khashoggi. They also, the way they treat women, the way they had the public punishments, including a crucifixion as recent as like 2019. Come on. And the loads of other shit that's happened. Insane. I do not, I don't like a lot of those comedians that are doing the Riyadh Comedy Festival, but I have no respect for any of those comedians anymore. Anyway, SAG-AFTRA said in a statement, the union is opposed to the replacement of human performers by synthetics. To be clear, Tilly Norwood, in quotes, is not an actor. It's a character generated by a computer program that was trained on the work of countless professional performers without permission or compensation. It has no life experience to draw from, no emotion, and from what we've seen, audiences aren't interested in watching computer-generated content untethered from the human experience. It doesn't solve any problem. It creates the problem of using stolen performances to put actors out of work, jeopardizing performer livelihoods, and devaluing human artistry. I like that last part, devaluing human artistry, because that's ultimately what you're doing when you use an AI tool to replace workers at Duolingo and say, well, I mean, these are entry-level jobs. Nobody was going to do this anyway. There are so many people who would take those jobs, even if they're contracts, because they need a way to live. Additionally, the statement continued, signatory producers should be aware that they may not use synthetic performers without complying with our contractual obligations, which require notice and bargaining whenever a synthetic performer is going to be used. Now, these strikes were way back in 2023, but they lasted for what? 8 months or something like that? 18 months, something along those lines. But oh my gosh, it's now AI is being used in the industry as we know. There's visual effects tools, even Adobe. I like Adobe, but but Adobe has started implementing AI stuff. I saw a headline. I did not click through the story, but an analyst said Adobe is just going to fail. Like after how long, 20 or 30 years, however long it's been around, Adobe's going to fail if it keeps relying on AI, and it's very true. There's they have an AI tool called Firefly, I believe that's what it's called, but it sucks. Like I don't want to use it. The AI stuff that they implement in Adobe Express is not fun. The pop-ups I see on Premiere are so annoying, but that's where we're in. Other stars condemning the news of Tilly Norwood include Melissa Barrera, Nicholas Alexander Chavez, Lucas Gage, Mara Wilson, Toni Collette. I think we should really hold this company, Zosia and Eileen van der Velden. We should hold them to account. We should really put their feet to the fire, and there's no way that people are going to continue to ignore this. Their companies will, or management agents, whatever, they're going to seek out the use of this tool, and some companies, maybe as big as Lionsgate, I don't know, that is just a theory, and maybe as small as a YouTube channel, but they're going to start using this stuff. It is up to stars big and small. It's up to everyone else around the industry to fight back against it, because this is not fair. This is not right. And quite frankly, if you're going to use likenesses, if you're going to use training things, then it's time for people to get paid, because this is insane. All right. That's all I have for you. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can finally see most things that have existed for the website. If you want to see a video version of the show, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can also see a video version of the other podcasts, Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show, and The Constitutionals, the Entertainment Business News Show. You can also watch a video version of those shows on youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can also see me talk to famous people sometimes. You can follow us on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, at C Plus Comedy, me on those platforms at Chad Black White. Go to chadcwhite.com to see my resume of stuff. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.